What's up? I'm Sully, Erna.
And I'm Shannon Larkin at Godsmack.
And you're watching Heavy Consequence.
Right off the bat, I want to talk about when you guys released the last album, you made a statement that, hey, this is going to be the last Godsmack album. And I find that really interesting and really cool because it's such a bold final statement. So I just have to wonder, because when I put myself in those shoes, like, was there ever a moment of hesitation of making such like a period statement, of such like a declaration, we'll call it?
Well, yeah, it's a heavy thing, but we've been doing this for 25 years together, and it was never, talk of like we're breaking up and putting out this record. It was just the initial thought when he brought it up in the studio was simply, we have so many hit songs now, and all these, in our world, and all our fans expect to hear certain songs, and as musicians, we like to, write or play new music. So we wish we could play this whole new album right now, but we have 10 other songs we have to play for our crowd, right? So when do you get to the point where, you have this perfect set? And we felt like, shoot, after all these years and all the songs that they want to hear, we can go out and a year from now, 2 years from now, and play this perfect set of just everybody will know every song, and it'll spin you right back to, nostalgia world.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just time to honor the catalog, and that's what we've always talked about, was getting to a place where we can relieve ourselves of some of the harder work that goes into
and
writing
pressure.
and recording a record and giving up all that time on top of all the years of touring. We just want to be able to be in a position now to give the fans what they want to hear and be able to enjoy what we like doing the most, which is playing the songs. And that's where we're at. What's going to happen in the future, we don't really know. But right now, what feels right is making this what we feel is going to be our last full body of work.
No, makes a lot of sense to me when you put it like that, for sure. So talking about kind of like wanting to play the new stuff as a musician, wanting to, keep creating, do you guys see yourselves still creating music in any different form, whether it be solo or side projects or collaborations or anything like that?
Yeah. But back to this record, because the reason I say we wish we could play every song, I can speak for myself. I think it's our best record ever. And I know every band says that, but this one, the way he sequenced the songs, and it feels like, to me, it's like a love letter to our whole career. And there's a little bit of the first record, second record, every single record, it feels like we got it in there on this one, And so, about stuff in the future.
Another way you can always identify a great record, even we could sit here and say this is our best album, but what's important is the fans also feel this is the best body of work we've ever done. And the way you can tell that is when you put on a record from front to back and every song keeps you interested, and then before you know it, the record's over and you still feel like it wasn't enough music, then you know you have a pretty strong record.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is it sounds like it's a great record to kind of wrap up, put a bow on the catalog. Yeah.
It feels complete, and it's also a lot of the content, like Shannon was saying, the way it's sequenced is really about the whole journey of what got me to start this band in the first place. When I first started writing music, I didn't know how to write music. I was writing about whatever, just dumb stories. And then I realized, after going through some traumatic things in my life, and would write about that, and the release I would get from writing about real life emotional situations, then I started to build a career and a catalog off of telling really my life story through my lyrics, right? And this record is really just summing up from how the first record was built off of a heartbreak. It was off of love found and love lost, right? And all those songs are going through the emotions of that time and what I went through when I lost that love in my life. And so this record starts off with finding love, goes through the trials and tribulations of life and the challenges, and then it kind of wraps up with the story of our journey from young musicians to,
old veteran musicians.
Yeah, and being complete, right? So that's why we think this is a good record to end it on. The record feels complete.
Yeah, feels complete, and like to your point, it has aspects of a bunch of different points in your guys' career, pulls from it. So I did want to touch on that just for a second because I know this year marks the 25th anniversary of the full-length major label debut. So when you think back to that time, especially thinking about how this record kind of pulls from that a little bit, like what kind of emotions do you have? Like what kind of memories do you have?
From the first album?
From the major label debut, the self-titled.
Yeah, the first record. Yeah, so I mean it's a long story, so I can't get into the whole thing, but I can tell you that reflecting back on it now, it's a really interesting and cool story the way it happened, because in a nutshell, it was about being fed up with the music industry, trying to make it in a band, feeling like it was the end and I was going to quit. Robbie was going to quit. We decided to get together and give it one more push, but we were just doing it as a studio project and as an experiment. And then the more the people heard the music, the more they were kind of directing us on what they liked better than others. And then again, the snowball effect started because we put out a self-titled CD. It started to sell in the record stores. The sales of the record started to bring bigger attendances to the shows. The shows drove it to be played on the radio. The radio would help us sell more records. The records would bring in more attendance, and on and on and on it went. And at the time, we were just in the grind, trying to figure it out, and we didn't realize that we were becoming the band that was the buzz of Boston. So to look back at that, you know, it was really some special times for us to be, you know, going from a nobody band to selling out clubs all over New England to getting a record deal to doing what it's done today, all off of an experiment when we were right on the cusp of quitting music forever.
Yeah, and then Shannon, for your part, I know it was only a few years later that you joined the band, and it's been, what, almost 20 years since you've been with them, so speak a little bit about your journey, like, you know, first being in and then again getting to this final record where you're putting kind of your whole career with Godsmack into it.
Yeah, like him, my story would take forever to tell, but when I went through a lot of bands on major labels even, and by the time Sully called me and gave me this gift of Godsmack, I had already written off rock and roll as like something I'd be successful at. I had already completed what I felt was success by that point. I just never really attained any kind of, business success as far as selling records, playing these huge concerts, being in a band that sells. I got a gold record. In fact, I wasn't gonna get a gold record because our first record with me was Faceless. It was our first #1, and it came out and sold 250,000 copies in like a week. And so I went to Sully and I said, oh my God, I'm gonna get my first gold record. And he said, no, you're not gonna get a gold record. It's going platinum. And these things cost money, so we'll just get platinum. And I said, well, no, I want a gold record. And he said, well, no, platinum's better. It's more, it's $1 million. And I said, yeah, but the old school got me an office gold records on the wall and all that, right? And then we ended up going, and he said, well, it's just not the way the business works. And I said, oh, okay, I guess. And so we get to Europe, and we're opening for Metallica on Madly in Anger with the World Tour, man. It's a big tour, and it's Metallica idols of ours, obviously. And, it was my birthday, April 24th, and he blindfolded me. He said, just trust me, I'm not going to do anything crazy. Blindfold me. Okay. So he takes me into this room, he takes the blindfold off and walks over there, and it's him, Tony and Robbie, and all four of Metallica with this gold record that he had special made for me. It's the only one, the frame and everything, and so I got a gold record. So, obviously that was the height of my, making it moment. Like, oh my God, I made it, I'm a rock star.